Okay, so if you get your image from the internet, which you probably did, you want to make sure it's a decent resolution. So if you go to File, or sorry, Image Size, make sure that it's at least 5 inches width, and turn on the resample, and at least 250 pixels per inch. It'll make your life easier. Okay, so this is kind of an elaborate way to trace something. So first, we need our rulers so that we can make guides, because I want this to be symmetrical. Yours doesn't have to be. So I would go to View the Rulers. And the guides live inside the rulers, so you just hover above the rulers and bring out a guide. I'll put this somewhere in the middle. And remember a couple of things that are going to help throughout this. Command plus, Command minus for zooming in and out, and the space bar will give you the hand and you can move things around. So here's our layers over here. We're going to make a brand new layer to paint on. Your image, if you like, it kind of helps, I think, if you turn down the opacity a little bit. You can see what you're doing better. Now I would start out with kind of a silhouette background, the darkest color, because we're going to be making several layers. And I would suggest the pencil tool, but you can use the brush tool. So I'm not going to start out with actual black. I want it to be a little bit darker. By the way, when you're searching for colors, if you float above your image, you can sample a color by just clicking down. It's okay. That's cool enough. And then one more thing with brushes that you're going to want to remember. The brackets right next to the P on your keyboard, those two brackets will make brush sizes go up and down. So I'm just going to start. Make sure you're on your right layer, the one that you made that's blank. Don't start drawing on your image, because you'll have to start all over. And you can be a little sloppy if you want, but take your time with these layers. It might help if you think about this as if you had to make this with pieces of cut paper. You would make the biggest piece first and layer the smaller pieces on top of that. But just know in Photoshop, if you'd like to fill something, you need to make sure there's no open places for the color to leak out from. So if you make a path that's closed up, you can then use the paint brush, or sorry, the paint bucket. And a lot of times it lives under the gradient tool. So you can just paint it that way. And while you're working, just know you can turn on and off your layers to see how you're doing. Okay, so at this point you probably see where we're going. I'll make a next layer, new layer to start on next. I'll turn this one off so I can see. Now at this point you can do the next darkest color and then on up to the lightest. I personally would like to do all the details in black, or very darker than our last color. So if you hit the small version of your foreground and background color, it'll turn it back to black and white if it's not already. And I'm just going to start working on all the details in here at the moment. It doesn't have to be perfect, just kind of look for the details on your own and do your best. kind of trace those. Take some time, don't rush through it. Okay, so now I got this. I have my silhouette layer, some colors, the lightest colors, and the details. So for me personally, I wanted to make a symmetrical image. So if I hold down my shift, I can select all these layers, put them into a folder by themselves, grab that folder and put it on the new button to make a copy, and then you can go to alright, so I wanted this to be a symmetrical image, so I'm going to get this group and just get rid of the background layer, close it up. I'm just going to make a marquee selection, just a rectangle one, and just get rid of the excess by hitting the delete on all this, and then select, deselect. You always want to get rid of the selection when you're done using it. Now this group copy, if you go to edit and then transform, you can flip it horizontal. Oops, sorry. You can move this. Excuse me. If you want to, you can go Command E a bunch of times and it'll merge things down, so you don't have to move each layer by itself. And then there you have a symmetrical image, but you don't have to do symmetrical.